The rain came down so hard that night it erased the city lights, but it couldn't wash away the moment that changed two lives forever. A tired single father carrying a bag of groceries and thinking only about getting home to his little daughter suddenly noticed a luxury car stopped near a deserted roadside. A woman in an expensive business suit stumbled out, barely able to stand as a group of strangers slowly surrounded her with dangerous intentions. He knew exactly who she was. She was his powerful boss, the woman who barely remembered employees' names and seemed to live in a world completely different from his own. He could have walked away and convinced himself it wasn't his problem. Instead, he stepped forward, risking everything. By sunrise, nothing between them would ever be the same again. Before we continue, if you believe kindness should never depend on someone's status and that everyone deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Soulful Stories for more emotional stories that stay with you long after they end. Daniel Harper had learned long ago that life rarely rewarded good people immediately. At 36 years old, he balanced two exhausting jobs while raising his 8-year-old daughter Lily alone after losing his wife Emily to a sudden illness 5 years earlier. Every morning began before sunrise as he prepared breakfast, braided Lily's hair the best he could, packed her school lunch, and rushed to the office where he worked as a maintenance supervisor in one of the city's tallest corporate buildings. His co-workers often joked that Daniel smiled more than anyone despite having the hardest life, but they never understood that Lily's smile was enough to make every sacrifice worth it. Even on days when his bank account barely covered groceries, he made sure his daughter never felt poor. She believed her father was the strongest man in the world, and Daniel worked every single day to deserve that belief. At the top floor of the same building worked Victoria Lawson, the company's successful chief executive. She was respected, admired, and feared in equal measure. Her perfectly organized life looked flawless from the outside. She drove expensive cars, attended glamorous events, and made business decisions worth millions of dollars before lunchtime. Yet success had quietly become a prison. Endless meetings replaced friendships, achievements replaced happiness, and loneliness followed her home every evening. Few people noticed the exhaustion hidden behind her confident smile. That Friday evening, after another difficult board meeting and a charity gala filled with fake laughter, Victoria drank far more than she ever intended. She insisted on driving herself despite several warnings. Pride had always whispered that asking for help was weakness. Unfortunately, pride can disappear quickly when reality arrives. As Daniel finished his second part-time shift at a neighborhood grocery store, he hurried home carrying discounted food for the weekend. The storm intensified, forcing him to take a shortcut through a quiet industrial road. That's when he saw the expensive black sedan stopped with its hazard lights flashing. Victoria leaned against the driver's door, clearly disoriented, while three strangers slowly approached her with smiles that carried no kindness. Daniel didn't stop to calculate the risk. He simply walked straight toward them with calm determination. His voice remained steady as he called out, pretending several friends were only seconds behind him. The strangers glanced around nervously, uncertain whether more people were coming. Daniel gently guided Victoria away from the car while keeping himself between her and the men. After several tense moments, the strangers decided the situation wasn't worth the trouble and disappeared into the rain. Victoria barely remained conscious. She apologized repeatedly, embarrassed by her condition, but Daniel ignored her scattered words. Instead of leaving her alone or calling reporters who would happily destroy her reputation, he drove her safely to her luxury apartment using her own car while arranging for a taxi to follow so he could return home later. Before leaving, he made sure she had water, medicine, and the security staff knew she was safely inside. He never took a photograph, never mentioned her vulnerable condition to anyone, and expected nothing in return. He arrived home long after midnight. Lily had fallen asleep on the couch while waiting for him. A handmade drawing rested beside her. It showed the two of them holding hands beneath a bright blue sky with the words, "My daddy always saves people." Daniel smiled through tired eyes, kissed her forehead, and quietly wondered whether kindness really mattered in a world where bills never stopped arriving. The next morning began like every other Saturday. Daniel prepared pancakes while Lily laughed at his uneven cooking. He expected another ordinary day until an unfamiliar luxury SUV stopped outside their small apartment building. Neighbors peeked through curtains as Victoria stepped out wearing simple clothes instead of her usual designer suits. She looked rested, humble, and deeply thoughtful. She carried no assistants, no security team, and no cameras. Daniel froze in surprise. Victoria looked around at the aging apartment complex, the peeling paint, the bicycles leaning against broken fences, and the tiny playground where Lily loved to spend afternoons. For the first time, she truly saw how one of her employees lived. Inside the apartment, she noticed repaired furniture, carefully folded school uniforms, and family photographs that told a story of love stronger than wealth. Every object reflected sacrifice rather than comfort. Victoria thanked Daniel sincerely for protecting her dignity when she had been unable to protect herself. More importantly, she admitted that no one had ever helped her without expecting something in return. She confessed that waking up that morning with complete memories of his kindness made her realize how disconnected she had become from ordinary people. She also met Lily. The cheerful little girl proudly introduced her father as the best person in the whole world because he always helped others first.